The intermediate value theorem. Suppose that the function y equals f of x is continuous on the closed interval ab, and let fc equals n be a number between fa and fb, where we assume that f of a not equals f of b. Then there exists a number c in the interval ab, open interval, not necessarily at the boundary. And then we have one important note under the intermediate value theorem. If the sign of f of a and f of b are opposite, that means if f of a is positive, then f of b needs to be negative. Then there exists at least one c value such that fc equals 0, and c is a 0 or root of the function by definition. And this c must be in the open interval ab. And this is basically the intermediate value theorem. Now let us see in the picture what we mean by all this. So let me say that I have my a here and b here, and I have a function like this. Say that this is my function f of x. So now this length here, we call it fa, you know that, and this length here we call it fb. Now we'll find, look at that function, is a continuous function. So you can find some c here, and this length will be now fc, and we call it n. Now for the note, so we said that still I have a function continuous. So f of a, that means this is the value. Let me call it a positive answer, f of a greater than 0, and then f of b less than 0. You can see that it goes below the x-axis. Okay, so this is negative. Now if you have graph like this, you can think of this. So this graph can go like this. When it goes like this, your c is here. So this is a 0 of the function because it's x-intercept. Now I could say that this function can go in many places like this. Like this. So I can get a c here, I can get a c here, I can get a c here. So that's why you are saying that you can have at least one c, is guaranteed. So that one is the case where you can see fc is here. This is the note on intermediate value theorem. Now we'll see a couple of examples. We are taking a function which is x squared minus 5x minus 6, and our restricted domain is -2 to 0. Now we want to see what happens to f of -2 and f of 0. So before we go to that one, we confirm that intermediate value theorem applies here because this is a continuous function. It doesn't have any point of discontinuity. So we'll check now the note if we can find a 0 in the interval -2 to 0. So to do that one, we need to figure out what is f of -2. So f of -2 will be, you just replace your x by -2, and don't forget the parentheses. Simplify this one and then simplify f0. So f0 will give me 0 squared minus 5 times 0 minus 6. So that gives me -6. Now calculate the first part. So you can clearly see f of -2 is 8, which is positive, and f of 0 is -6. So we see the different sign. That means the graph of this function will cross x-axis between -2 to 0. Let us check this in the calculator. So we type the function x squared minus 5x minus 6. Let us apply the standard window. So we can go to Geom 6, or if you want to use your domain, so you can go to window here and take -2 to 0 and then graph it again. You can clearly see that this passes through the x-axis. So you have a 0 in here. So that's the confirmation. And we have said that intermediate value theorem applies, and with the note we confirm that this function has a 0 in the interval -2 to 0. Let's take example number 2. In this case we said, suppose f is a continuous function such that f of -3 equals 5 and f of 4 equals 10. What does the above theorem say? I mean the intermediate value theorem. So intermediate value theorem is saying in the simple case that you can find a number between -3 and 4 so that you will get some value of the function. That's it, nothing else, no more information. But we'll look at the next example. So I'm going to example 3. It says, suppose f is a continuous function such that f of -3 is 5 and f of 4 is -10. What does the above theorem say? So by the note we can say that we can find at least one value for c which is between -3 and 4, and we'll get at least 1 0. I mean fc will be 0 in this case. So this is always true. So we have to be very careful. We can say that there is some c in between -3 and 4. You can read this symbol as in. C is in or belong to -3, 4. This is the open interval. So I can find some c where it will be 0. This is the guarantee. But I cannot say c will be some value. We don't know what it is. We have to do this one further.